Hey, it's Cody
and Matt, and thanks for joining us for another episode of
the Coma Cast. Matt, we're going to be diving into all things involving the LGBT community, including our own lives.
And don't forget our cats.
We don't want to forget them. The Coma Cast starts now.
Podcasting from the Lone Star State in Southern California, you're listening to the Coma Podcast with Cody and Matt.
And we are back, and we are going to be just like catching up real quick. We've been away for about 3 weeks since our last episode, and the new year has begun.
And Cody and I have not actually talked to each other other than like the most basic of conversations of like, do you have a pulse? Yes.
Matt's been having a lot go on. He had family come. But yeah, it's been 3 weeks.
Oh, yeah, I have an update about that. That's really fun.
Yeah,
that's right.
3 weeks. We started off the new year. It was a quiet new year for many of us. You know, I thought it was weird. You know, normally we have like a New Year's party that we go to. I remember like last year when we thought 2020 was going to be the best year, I had sent Matt photos from downtown, and it was the skyline
from that balcony.
From the balcony,
yeah,
it was
so
beautiful.
Justin actually texted me from there when you guys were there. He goes, "Oh my gosh, Cody's had a few drinks, but he's like, you guys should come here next year. That would be so fun." And I had planned, now that 2020 is totally over and I've given up on anything for that, I had planned to just kind of come out there. I haven't even bothered telling Justin yet. I was going to try to coordinate it with him and come out there and surprise you. And David was like, well, what if they got plans that weekend? I'm like, oh, yes, I'm pretty sure Cody's about as social as I am. So I'm pretty sure with a little bit of coordinating with Justin, we could have worked it out.
I mean, basically, if Justin would have known. Like, I really don't do anything unless I'm doing it with Justin. So, yeah, you would have been fine. Like, you would have been fine.
Yeah, that's what I was going to be like, oh, it'd be really fun to text Justin and be like, hey, I want to come out this weekend or this particular time. Can you can we plan this and then surprise Cody? It'd be really fun. And also as a big thank you for Cody doing all the editing all year. Like he never complains about it. He has done it between all of his projects. And if most of you guys don't know, he does a lot of his own. He does a lot of freelance work. He does it for himself, other projects, other contractors, his family, and, his own family adventures this year. He had his own tragedies happen. And he was, I did not tell him to do this, by the way, but he would randomly text me, he goes, hey, I got it uploaded. Do you want to go take a listen to it? And I'm like, maybe you should just, take a Xanax and like a nap.
Oh my God. I mean, like thinking back 2020, I mean, this is almost like a year in retrospective last year, but yeah, 2020, it had started off like this was going to be a great year. And then things kind of fell apart, like Justin had gotten sick, like really sick. And it was like a whole scary thing. And then there was a point in time where like I was going to try to get, some anxiety medicine from my doctor. Ultimately, I got all of that done. I actually think I was getting my medicine the day that Justin got sick and we had to go to the hospital. Like I'd gotten the medicine that day and came home, and then it just all like fell apart. But
if y'all could read my text messages from Cody that day, I'm like, I was like, David, I think I need to go to California today or tomorrow. And then not 10 minutes later, Cody texted me, how do you feel about possibly coming out here to help me? And I'm like, am I going to have you committed and then I take care of Justin for 3 days until we get you out of like lockdown? Like what's going to happen? What do you need me to do?
But yeah, so like it was a crazy year. And so like, obviously then the pandemic happened and then everybody's life was completely changed forever. And so we were here now 2021 and having New Year's Eve. And so we weren't having parties. Most people hopefully weren't going out. And so I thought it was interesting. Like we were watching like some TV and doing whatever. And they had Times Square New Year's Eve still going on, but no one was hardly there. It was just kind of volunteers that were granted access there. But to watch New Year's Eve in Times Square, countdown, all of that, and literally no one be in Times Square was so weird, I have to say. Like,
I could live with it. My ex-husband went there with a friend several years ago, and my ex-husband is like life of the party. He is like the one that he wants to be in the center of everything. And so he was like, oh, it's so cool. And well, the friend that was with him was like, it was gross. because you're only seeing what you see on TV. Think of the logistics of actually being there, and especially if you don't live there, he's like, 4 to 6 hours of not being able to find anything, not being able to move. And, and of course, after, essentially when the camera's cut, it literally is a giant freaking mess. And he was like, it was cool to see. I'm glad I saw it. I don't want to do that again.
So, starting off the new year has been... I think starting off the new year, we had like high hopes because obviously, no surprise if you've been listening to our podcast, but me and Matt were excited because Biden was going to be becoming president. And so there was that to look forward to. The vaccine had started rolling out, and we're both big proponents of vaccines. Again, if you've not listened to any of our episodes before, Matt loves vaccines. He had so many vaccines last year. But so
I had to be completely revaccinated for nursing school because all my vaccines were so old. The last time I needed them, I was, a teenager, and I'm in my mid 30s now. So when I had my titers done, I was only immune to chickenpox because I had chickenpox before the vaccine was available for my age group. So I had to have every shot all over again.
So I think we had a lot to look forward to. And so now we're here like 3 weeks that you haven't heard from us. And so all of that's happened. And, maybe a little coup attempt happening also thrown in there, But so there's a lot that's happened.
Yeah, we're not going to go into those today. But we're going to talk about all of those things because this is one of those things, we want to make sure we're giving all this attention.
So a lot has happened in the 3 weeks. And so from, it's like everything was compressed into 3 weeks and it just was like, whoa. But now
I'm laughing, but I'm actually, I have died inside every day for probably about 10 years. So and it just culminated.
we finally have time to breathe. And so here we are, getting our first episode out for all of you to listen to. And we're actually going to do something. We're going to have a lot of episodes this week, kind of as our premiere week. Since you hopefully have missed us for the last 3 weeks, we want to give you the option to hear us 4 more other times because we do hope that you, like Matt says, you love the sound of our voices. But in that 3 weeks, like I said, Matt has had a lot of stuff going on, and we're
some
pretty
talk more
great
about
stuff.
Our personal stuff today. Just because one, it's our first day back, and Cody and I. This is the first time I've seen Cody on camera since we recorded the Christmas episode. Really at that time, and I wasn't sure how many people would really, if the normal amount of listeners would listen to it because it's a Christmas episode. We were just being ourselves, which is kind of hit or miss if you like that or not. And sometimes my personality just comes right through, like the candy cane joke. I got a lot of text messages about that. And
did people like it?
They did. I was like, please don't let your children listen to this.
Thank goodness I didn't cut it out.
Well, I thought you were going to, and then I heard myself saying it. And I think it was probably funnier when it was off camera because I just said it and you looked horrified. And then when I was trying to repeat it for you on camera, I was laughing too hard.
It was a great joke. If you missed that episode, go back and listen to the Christmas
go hear
episode.
How Cody is like a candy cane.
But yeah, so Matt, your family came into town and you got to hang out, and he was sending me all kinds of photos and they were like the cutest photos. I was like, oh my God, he must be having the greatest time.
So to refresh everybody, 2 years ago at their DNA test, I learned that I have a totally different biological father, which was an amazing revelation and not a terrible surprise because I don't look anything like my quote unquote father or non-dad as I refer to him. But with that came the realization that I have 4 older brothers and sisters. One of those sisters was born in 1972. And my bio dad was dating, I guess, they were like 18 and 20. Everyone's very young at this point. And he ultimately had another daughter in 1972 as well with another woman. They're, again, all 18 to 20 here. And that woman he married and subsequently had 2 sons. So 1 daughter and 2 sons are their children. And then he has a second daughter from 1972. And then in 1986, I came along. I think the proper term is affair. But he was dating 2 girls at once in the early 70s, had children and married one and then continued a family, and they're still together. Well, that one daughter that he did not raise has 4 daughters of her own, which would be my nieces. And the 3 older daughters between them have 4 sons who are probably around the ages between 3, 4, 4, and 6, right, as of now. And 2 of them are brothers, and then the other 2 have 1 each. And they are all the cutest little things. So I almost recorded some audio with the one niece, Jen, who was here. She's 27 and, I'm 34. So she's older, and she has a 4-year-old, and he is just freaking precious. And he is the one I was sending pictures of. And we've talked on FaceTime the last year or so, getting to know each other. And she had asked if she could visit. And I said, yes, but we needed to prepare because Jen is very pro-vaccine. She very much believes in the virus. So she'd been isolated in her house with her dad and stepdad and her son. They live in one household. So they've been isolated this whole time. And David and I isolated for weeks. I would say from Thanksgiving to Christmas completely, other than picking up groceries. And that was it. We've avoided all other contact to prepare for it. And so I got to meet them in person. And so I've not met any biological family that's that close to me genetically that I look like, act like, or anything. And so my nephew, it's introduced to us as Uncle Matt and Uncle David. And he had a blast. He has asked his mom like 3 times when are we coming back to Uncle Matt and Uncle David's house? And unfortunately for us, and fortunately, he is very, very well spoken. His mom believes in very structured play. So, he isn't just handed an iPad and that's all he does all day. Like he has, we color this amount of time, then we go play, then we do our chores. Like that's stuff she's included from the moment he could like walk and talk. Yeah. So he understands that when he's bored of coloring, that we're not going to do coloring for 3 hours. Like, we go to the next thing. So, luckily, which made it very easy, but he also is very interactive once he's used to you. And we thought it would take a day or 2. They were here from a Saturday to a Saturday. So I picked him up Saturday and I was very, I was excited, but I was really nervous because this is weird to me. The cousins that I did know on my mom's side that I'm related to, we weren't really close, so I don't really know them too well. And the ones on my stepdad or non-dad's side, we didn't have anything in common, and now we know for obvious reasons. And of course, my sister and we have some similarities because we're both each like our moms, and our moms have similar characteristics as like they're very compassionate and kind people and more gentle. And both my stepsister and I those are kind of our baser personality traits. But other than that, like she has some similarities to our stepdad, and that's because that is her bio dad. I have none. Yeah. So they were here for 7 days, and for the most part, we did all stuff around the house. We did take him to an aquarium on a Tuesday, and it was pretty much empty. Masks all required and everything, and there was maybe 5 or 6 other people in there the whole time. Mm-hmm. And everybody was great about staying away from each other. And but I don't know if you've ever chased a 4-year-old around. Yep. And he is in the stage of asking why everything. Like literally why everything. And so he wanted to know about everything. And he was the one that wanted to feed the animals. So they have birds and lemurs and other things that aren't just water-based animals. And so Uncle David and him fed the stingrays, which was the most hilarious thing I've ever seen. And then he wanted to also feed the birds. And then, but this is how it worked. He picked the animals we were going to feed. We could feed 4 or 5 of them. And he goes, we get in there and he goes, well, Uncle Matt, maybe you go first. Oh, I see. So this is how that worked. So in one of the pictures, he's sitting on my lap and I kind of have him held back to me. And they put the bird seed in the palm of your hand so they can eat out of the palm. Mm-hmm. Well, he picked it up with his fingers and tried to feed them. Well, of course, the ends of your fingers smell like bird feed. And the bird kind of didn't bite him, but kind of nipped him looking for food. And when there was no food, he moved to the center of his hand, but it scared him a little. And he's like, oh, I think did it hurt? Because I was like, you're okay. So I had to hold his hands. I had him like, why don't you clasp your hands? And I'm going to put my hand over your hands and keep your hands back. And of course, the birds are landing on me, on his shoes, my shoes, David's head. I was like, don't move. And I'm wearing a mask, trying to talk through my mask and up so he can hear me. Uh-huh. And if you know anything about me, outside of the podcast and David, I barely talk, especially since I went on the Stratera for my meds. And from Thanksgiving to them getting here, I barely said anything out loud because I don't need to. And I can finally kind of retreat into my own, be me. So going from nothing to a 4-year-old. So, and of course the air inside the aquarium is very humid. It's very wet. Yeah. And spending the whole night just sweating, running after him and him showing him everything and feeding the animals and, letting them talk. And we all got home and we were dead. I mean, the adults were dead.
You got your exercise in.
Holy crap. And he was fine. He was like, oh, we're going to do this. We're like, I think it's nap time. Or, we're getting close. We're going to eat in bed, dude. Yeah. He's like, I'm not tired. Really? He's the kid exhausted. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was definitely nap time a few times, just to let you know. Because he fought. He's the kid that fights the nap times. So the next morning, Wednesday morning, the adults, we wake up and we are all like sick with like, from being in this wet air for 4.5 hours. And it was probably 35, 40 degrees outside. It was very cold outside. And it was the only thing we went and did all day. And we were like looking around first. We're like, is it crowded in here? Because we'll turn right back around. Like, but they had a bunch of stuff closed. They had all the stuff that if people could get in, crowd, like they had a ball pit for kids. That's all shut down. They had a bunch of things that were, if there was a crowd for it, it was shut down. The personal shows all shut down. So, which was nice. That was probably the biggest development. The other one is an update on my ADHD meds. Is that most of the side effects have pretty much worn off, which has been great. It's been a relief actually, because I still only sleep about 5 or 6 hours at a time. Yeah. But that's improving probably, I would say monthly. I still have to have another checkup. I had a 30-day checkup with blood work and to check everything, and everything that could be affected by the Stratera is very normal. Mm-hmm. I'm not having any adverse effects. And I encourage anyone that goes on any meds really that do the recommended checkups, do your blood work. Because one, it could tell you some things lurking around that you maybe didn't even know yet. Because I got told that outside of the Stratera, I needed to kind of basically stop eating most meat and eat more fruit, which I typically do anyway. And we actually did cut off. We basically eat a pescatarian, vegetarian diet full time and have since early November, which apparently I was going to have to do anyway because I have some other issues that are apparently in my blood work that can be corrected by that. And I also got told I have to exercise more, not for a weight issue, but because of the Stratera. It makes me a little too lax. Yeah. Like I'll do my stuff around the house, but it's really hard to motivate myself to go do like physical activity. And then of course we've been avoiding the gyms because our numbers here in Texas have just exploded. And so trying to do at-home programs and
the struggle.
Yeah, and our cat Ava turned 1 on January 21st, according to her paperwork. So it was a perfect...
So exciting.
Right. I thought it was a good first day, first birthday of the cat, first day of the Biden administration. Hooray.
A lot
But
of
we'll
good
get into
first.
Biden administration on another episode. So, Cody, we've just heard me for the last 15 minutes. Why don't we talk about you? How was the last 3 weeks for you?
So the last 3 weeks have been, I would say, pretty good. It's been nice weather out here, so just being able to enjoy that, go hang out in the backyard and do whatever it may be. It actually has been raining this weekend. We're recording this episode. It's been raining, which is nice because it has usually in the past been a lot more rainy than it has been, but this has been our first big rain really since like March of last year. So that's been nice. The kitties are doing good. Salem and Ella are rambunctious as ever. Salem still gets into things when he's not supposed to, but nothing terrible like it was happening like I mentioned at the end of last year. So they're doing good. Life is going pretty well. Started knitting. I'd sent Matt some pictures of some of the hats I've knitted and scarves that I've knitted. So working on things with that. So I'm probably going to start selling some of my hats and scarves and eventually do like some soaps and candles. It's going to kind of be like a whole big part of like our whole like urban farming and kind of like doing things at home and then letting others enjoy the results of all of that. But the chickens are doing good. They're finally all laying eggs now. And so we're getting like currently that's about 6 eggs a day. And so that is piling up now. We have a lot of eggs. We have over 100 eggs probably at this point in time. And it's not slowing down because, again, 6 eggs a day. Unless you're eating 6 eggs a day, you're not catching up. So we have an overflow of eggs right now that we need to do something with. But we'll probably start giving those to some neighbors and whatever.
Because we use a lot of eggs. I like to bake and stuff like that.
I know. I wished. I've also started this new year. I've kind of trying to get into the habit of doing all of my stuff that I've talked about in previous episodes of my website and blog and some of my YouTube videos and all of that. But I've gotten to a good habit of doing those. So, I'm giving people like an urban farming tip each week. A lot of it's centered around the hens and some of the exciting things that misconceptions people have about hens. Like, you don't need to have a rooster to have eggs. A lot of people think you need to have a rooster to have eggs, but it's like the hen still has the eggs. They're just not fertilized. But surprisingly, so many people don't realize that. So it's going to be tips like that. And I've been giving tips.
Also, if you follow Cody on like Snapchat, you really should follow Cody on Snapchat because one, he's super freaking cute. And he does the videos in overalls. But like the short with no shirt. And it's super cute. And normally that would be something I would do on my Twitter, but Cody does it on Snap. And thank you, Justin, for that suggestion. I'm so glad Cody listened to it.
Yeah, you can. I post those on Snap. I'm starting to post them on Instagram, but posting a lot of those things on my TikTok. So if you want to check out my TikTok, it's John Cody Rodriguez. A lot of fun stuff that I'm going to be doing on TikTok. But yeah,
I forget my first name isn't Cody sometimes.
Yeah, my first name is John. It confuses everybody when people are like, "What is your first name?" I'm like, "John," and they're like, "Huh?"
So I went by my middle name. My middle name is William, and a lot of people, when I moved to Pennsylvania in 2010, I wanted to be called Will because we had probably 6 or 7 friends named Matt. And when I worked for Disney, I was server Matt. We had chef Matt, and we had another Matt that worked. We had 3 Matts that worked in the restaurant.
That's such a common name.
And it was so frustrating. So I was like, oh my God, just call me by my middle name. So when I met new friends, I thought, you know what? We're moving to a new state. Even David knew me as Will at first. And a lot of people, my old coworkers, when I had Facebook and stuff address me as Will. And I've never really liked it that much on myself. I've never really liked my middle and last name. So I am changing when I do officially do the name change. Whenever I get to it, I am changing my middle and my last name permanently.
Well, that's exciting.
Cody, did I ever tell you what it's going to be?
No.
Oh, do you want to play a guessing game?
I have no idea.
Cody's like, damn it, I hate
idea.
it. You should see his face. When I do this shit to him, he's like, Matt, I hate you.
I mean, would our listeners even be able to guess this?
Well, it's a fairly common name from the years. I did go with a name that was semi-popular in the mid 80s, early 90s. Because I felt like
years.
Yes, actually, that's a good clue for the name too. Oh, yeah. It's there's a very popular figure in ancient history with this name.
Oh, good. I don't know.
If I told you it had...
Do what?
Go ahead.
No, I have
no idea. If I told you it
idea.
had an X in it. If I told you it had an X in it. The letter X.
Oh my God, I don't know. An X?
Yeah.
I can't even think of any. I mean...
No great conquerors. Nothing the great.
Alexander?
Yes. You should. Cody's like,
it's like a question. It's like Alexander?
Yes.
That's a good name. I like that.
There were other names I did consider, but for some reason when I looked at it, it just seemed like it fit my first name and middle name. And then of course, using David's last name for when it's finally done. And it's a name I've always liked. And so I thought that when I finally do the full name change and everything, that it would be, that's the name I want. And then I could actually change my middle name. And then I'll have my birth certificate and everything updated.
Yeah, I do think it's going to be an exciting year looking forward into our podcast. All the changes that we're going to be making, being more interactive with you because we want you to be a part of the podcast with us. We don't want to just be speaking and talking to nothing. Right. And I mean, obviously, yes, we know you're listening and we thank you so much for doing that. But we want to bring you in even more to the podcast and join in the conversation with us. And I think you're going to be able to do that. And it's going to be an exciting year looking forward. I know we in the past have done an amazing job of some of you leaving comments on iTunes for our subscription. If you haven't done that, please, I know we have a lot of listeners. If you just go real quick to iTunes and if you would just rate us, give us, it's 5 stars, whatever you want to give us. Hopefully it's 5, but also leave a comment because other people who haven't found our podcast and who don't know us on Twitter, if they're searching and they find things, they are able to read these comments that you leave about our podcast. And hopefully by them reading those comments, they'll be like, we should check it out. Maybe this is something we want to listen to. So I think that's important. We, again, have a lot of older episodes up on iTunes. And again, all podcasts, anywhere you listen to your podcast, it's available. So older podcasts that you can check out, like Matt was saying. We have a lot of episodes that you can go back and listen to if you haven't done so, since Matt did go back and listen to all of them. There's some good ones on there.
Aware that some of the episodes had some audio issues, and I think we have figured it out. We have the process worked out now. And some of those episodes you might hear again. There are, I think, 3 of them that I would like to redo, and just to put out a better audio quality, because it's not anything that Cody or I did specifically. It was a bad day and bad connections, because the way we did it, we kind of depended on essentially web connection. And that is not always stable when you live in a slightly rural area. It's me.
It's Matt. It's always Matt.
Yes. So my old laptop has been slowly dying on us. And when we started, even today, to record season 2, 5 minutes in, the connection died, everything died, it dropped, failed. And I was like, seriously, this is what we're doing? Oh my God. Come on. So stay tuned. And we really appreciate you guys joining us and listening to us talk this time as we try to catch you all up and prepare you for what's coming.
Yes, thank you for listening, and we will see you later this week because more episodes for our premiere week. See you next time. So, hey guys, we want to remind everyone that you can keep in touch with us on all of our social media channels, whether that is Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. You can do all of that at the Coma Cast.
And we definitely love to interact and hear from all of our listeners. All of this is not possible without you guys.
And if you don't mind rating our podcast on iTunes or whatever your preferred podcast provider is, just leave a comment. It's greatly appreciated.
And thank you for joining us.
See you next time.